Have you ever felt like you're not fully in control of your thoughts, your choices, your life? You wake up in the morning with good intentions. You tell yourself, today will be different. But by evening, you've repeated the same patterns, whether it's procrastination, anger, self-doubt, or negative self-talk. And at some point you begin to wonder, why? Why do these loops keep happening? This isn't just about willpower. It's not about being lazy or undisciplined. The truth is, many of the forces shaping your life are not even visible to you. They're not on the surface. They're buried deep in your unconscious mind, and that's the paradox of modern life. We believe we're in charge. We like to think of ourselves as rational, autonomous beings making conscious choices every step of the way. But underneath the surface, something else is happening. There are emotions you haven't processed, childhood wounds you've never examined, beliefs you adopted without ever questioning them, traumas that were never healed. These hidden forces are silently guiding your reactions, decisions, and even your perception of who you are. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness. If you've ever struggled with self-sabotage, anxiety, depression, relationship chaos, or a gnawing sense that something essential is missing, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. What you're experiencing is a call, a signal from within, that something beneath the surface wants to be seen. And once you start this inner journey, everything can change. Carl Jung, one of the most influential thinkers in psychology, said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is your opportunity to stop calling it fate. Before we dive deeper, take a moment, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because what you're about to learn isn't just theory, it's a roadmap, a way to peel back the layers and reclaim the parts of yourself you never knew you lost. This journey into your psyche might be uncomfortable at times. It might challenge the way you see the world and yourself. But if you're willing to walk this path, it could be the most freeing experience of your life. 1. The hidden forces within. Carl Jung believed that human beings are far more complex than they appear. While most of us walk around thinking we are one unified, coherent self, Jung saw us as a collection of parts, many of which are hidden from our conscious awareness. He called this hidden layer the unconscious, and within it, he believed, lies the blueprint of our behavior, thoughts, and emotional patterns. Think about the last time you got irrationally angry at someone, or when you overreacted to a small comment, or perhaps when you told yourself you'd make a change, but didn't follow through. In those moments, you may have thought, "Why did I do that? That's not like me." But here's the truth. It is like you. It's just a part of you that you haven't fully met yet. Jung argued that our conscious mind, the part we're aware of, is only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath that lies a vast realm of hidden drives, memories, impulses, and emotions that shape our lives. These hidden forces aren't just theoretical. They show up every day in how you react to stress, who you're attracted to, the way you treat yourself, and even the goals you set or avoid. What's more, these forces aren't random. They are shaped by your past, your childhood experiences, the roles you played in your family, cultural expectations, and the ways you learned to survive emotionally. Over time, these become internalized. They form unconscious patterns, and unless you bring them into awareness, you end up repeating them over and over. This is why self-awareness is so powerful. It allows you to interrupt the cycle. When you begin to recognize that you're not just reacting randomly, that there's a script playing out, you gain the ability to rewrite it. But to do that, you have to go inward. You have to be willing to look at what's beneath the surface. And that's where Jung's concept of individuation comes in. He believed that our purpose in life isn't just to achieve goals or be successful, but to become whole. To integrate all the parts of ourselves, both light and dark, conscious and unconscious. That process starts by acknowledging that much of your life is driven by what's hidden. Not to shame yourself, but to empower yourself. Because once you become aware of these forces, you can begin to choose differently. Jung didn't invent the unconscious mind, but he gave us a map. And that map points toward healing, not through avoidance, but through exploration. It's not always comfortable, but it's deeply liberating. Because once you understand the hidden forces within you, you no longer have to be controlled by them. You start to become the author of your own story. 2. Meeting the shadow. Now let's talk about one of Jung's most powerful and misunderstood concepts, the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It's not something to fear. It is, quite simply, the part of yourself that you've pushed away, the parts you've deemed unacceptable, unworthy, or not me. And it contains everything you've rejected: your anger, envy, pride, selfishness, sexual desires, fears, insecurities, and even your untapped strengths. These aren't things you consciously choose to hide. Often the process of shadow formation happens in childhood. Maybe you were told to be a good boy, or nice girls don't act like that. Maybe you learned that expressing anger got you punished, or being vulnerable got you hurt. So you adapted. You buried those parts. You created a persona, a mask, to show the world who you thought you should be. But what you suppress doesn't vanish. It waits. It festers. It leaks out in ways you don't expect, in passive aggression, emotional outbursts, perfectionism, addictions, or chronic dissatisfaction. That's the shadow trying to be seen. Jung warned that the more you ignore your shadow, the more power it gains. It begins to control your life from the dark, like a puppeteer pulling the strings. You find yourself repeating painful patterns, sabotaging relationships, or chasing external validation, all while wondering why you're not happy. But here's the secret. Your shadow isn't your enemy. It's a messenger. And when you have the courage to face it, to listen to it without judgment, something amazing happens. You begin to reclaim your wholeness. You tap into parts of yourself that were once locked away. Your creativity, authenticity, and emotional power rise to the surface. Facing the shadow isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming real. It's about owning your humanity fully, flaws and all. And when you do, you become less reactive, less judgmental, and more compassionate, not just toward others, but toward yourself. Shadow work is not a one-time event, it's a lifelong practice. It means noticing when you're triggered, asking what that emotion is trying to reveal. It means paying attention to what you hate in others, because often those traits live inside you too. It means going into the uncomfortable spaces within and making peace with what you find. And when you do, you no longer have to live in fear of yourself. You begin to lead your life from a place of deep authenticity. That's the beginning of true freedom. 3. The collective unconscious. Carl Jung's exploration of the unconscious mind led him to a profound realization. Not all of what lies beneath our awareness is shaped solely by personal experience. There is a deeper layer, one that transcends individual memory and reaches into something far more ancient and universal. Jung called this realm the collective unconscious. It is a psychological inheritance, a shared mental framework passed down through generations, composed of symbols, instincts, and images common to all human beings, regardless of culture or time. Unlike the personal unconscious, which is made up of forgotten memories, repressed emotions, and individual experiences, the collective unconscious is universal. It contains archetypes, primal images and themes that recur in myths, dreams, religions, and art across all civilizations. These archetypes are not memories themselves, but rather forms or templates that shape human thought and behavior. Consider how across the globe, in cultures that had no contact with each other, similar stories and symbols emerge. The hero's journey, a protagonist who faces trials, descends into darkness, gains wisdom, and returns transformed, is found in ancient Greek epics, Native American legends, African folklore, and modern Hollywood films. The mother figure, representing nurturing and protection, appears in goddesses like Isis in Egypt, Demeter in Greece, and Mary in Christianity. The trickster, the chaotic figure who disrupts order and reveals hidden truths, can be found in the Norse god Loki, the African spider Anansi, and modern characters like the Joker. These recurring patterns exist because the human psyche is wired to understand the world in terms of these deep symbolic frameworks. They are embedded in us from birth, silently shaping our emotions, our relationships, and our responses to life's challenges. Even today, these archetypes influence how we perceive ourselves and others. We might strive to be the hero, seeking to prove our worth through accomplishments. Or we might wrestle with the expectations placed on us by the internalized image of the good mother or the responsible father. Often, we project these archetypes onto people around us, idealizing or vilifying them based on unconscious narratives we've inherited. Understanding the collective unconscious is like gaining access to a vast, ancient library hidden within the human mind. It gives us insight into the symbolic language of our dreams, the emotional power of stories, and the invisible forces that drive our choices. When we begin to recognize these patterns within ourselves, we start to awaken to the deeper layers of our being. We realize that much of our behavior isn't entirely our own. It's shaped by a story much older than us. This awareness is not just intellectual, it's transformative. By identifying the archetypes at play in our lives, we can begin to question the roles we unconsciously inhabit. Are we stuck in the shadow of the wounded child? Are we chasing validation through the warrior archetype without considering why? Awareness gives us the power to rewrite these narratives. It frees us from blindly acting out roles that no longer serve us. The collective unconscious also bridges the gap between cultures and individuals. It reminds us that beneath our differences, we are connected by a shared psychic heritage. The same symbols that resonate with a monk in Tibet can move a teenager in New York. The same myths that stirred the hearts of ancient Egyptians still speak to us today through books, films, and even advertising. We're all speaking the same symbolic language. We just don't always realize it. Jung believed that tapping into the collective unconscious could lead to profound healing and integration. It can guide us back to a sense of belonging, not just to a culture or a family, but to the human experience itself. In a world increasingly fragmented and disconnected, this inner connection may be more vital than ever. 4. The path of individuation. At the core of Jungian psychology lies a transformative journey known as individuation, a process of becoming your most authentic self. Unlike the modern pursuit of perfection or endless self-optimization, individuation is not about becoming flawless. It's about becoming whole. It's about integrating every part of who you are, even the ones you've tried to hide, deny, or disown. Individuation begins when we start to question the persona, the mask we wear to fit in with societal expectations. This mask is useful. It helps us navigate the world. But over time, if we mistake the persona for our true self, we become trapped in a role that feels hollow. We start to feel like strangers to ourselves. That's when the call to individuate begins. This path often starts with a crisis, a period of confusion, disillusionment, or emotional upheaval. Something in our life stops working. A relationship ends, a job feels meaningless, or we simply wake up one day and feel deeply lost. Jung saw these moments not as failures, but as invitations. The psyche is urging us to go deeper, to reconnect with what has been neglected within. To individuate, we must confront the shadow, the hidden side of our personality that holds our repressed fears, desires, and instincts. These parts of us may be uncomfortable, but they are not inherently bad. In fact, they often contain untapped potential. Anger, when integrated, becomes courage. Envy, when understood, reveals what we truly value. By bringing these aspects into conscious awareness, we reclaim the energy we once spent suppressing them. Individuation also involves acknowledging the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine energies within us. These elements allow us to balance logic with intuition, strength with sensitivity. By harmonizing these inner opposites, we move closer to a sense of internal equilibrium. This journey is deeply personal and unique to each individual. There is no single map, no guaranteed outcome. It's a process of dialogue with the unconscious, often facilitated through dreams, active imagination, creative expression, and honest self-reflection. The symbols and signs that appear during this journey are not random. They are messages from the deeper self guiding us toward integration. But individuation is not easy. It demands that we dismantle false identities, confront painful truths, and accept the full spectrum of who we are. Many turn away from this path because it threatens comfort and certainty. Yet for those who walk it, the reward is profound, an unshakable sense of inner freedom. By becoming whole, we no longer rely on external validation to define us. We no longer fear our inner world. We learn to trust ourselves, to live in alignment with our values, and to relate to others from a place of authenticity. Individuation liberates us from the tyranny of unconscious patterns and gives us the courage to live a life that is truly our own. 5. Why this matters now more than ever. In a world saturated with noise, distraction, and superficiality, the depth of Carl Jung's teachings offers a much-needed counterbalance. We live in an age of constant stimulation, scrolling through curated images, reacting to algorithm-driven content, measuring self-worth by likes and follows. In such an environment, it becomes dangerously easy to lose touch with who we truly are. Modern society excels at producing personas. Social media encourages us to perform rather than to reflect. Consumer culture feeds on our insecurities, telling us we're not enough unless we buy, achieve, or become something more. Yet amidst all this noise, few voices urge us to look inward, to ask, what do I truly value? What parts of myself have I abandoned? What is the story I'm unconsciously living? Jung's work reminds us that meaning is not found in external success, but in internal understanding. By turning our attention inward, we reconnect with the timeless truths that have guided humanity for centuries. The journey of self-discovery is not just a luxury, it's a necessity for psychological health, emotional maturity, and spiritual growth. The collective unconscious shows us that we are all connected through shared symbols and stories. Individuation helps us navigate those stories consciously, choosing which roles to play and which to discard. And in doing so, we create a life rooted in purpose, not performance. This is especially urgent today, as anxiety, depression, and alienation rise across the globe. Jung's message becomes even more vital. Wholeness is possible. Healing is possible. But it begins with facing ourselves, not just the polished parts, but the messy, chaotic, wounded ones too. To walk this path requires courage, but the reward is liberation from the false self, from unconscious conditioning, from fear. Jung believed that the greatest gift we can give the world is to become who we truly are. Not a copy, not a role, but a complete, integrated human being. And that journey begins now, so ask yourself, what parts of you have you been avoiding? What patterns keep repeating in your life? And are you ready to confront the truth hiding in your shadow? If this message resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need it. Drop a comment below. What part of your unconscious are you ready to explore? Your journey to wholeness begins with awareness. And Carl Jung showed us that the only way out is in. Let's go deeper together.